Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here in the home weather office with a live weather briefing discussion for Thursday, December the 19th, 2024. It's a make Thursday a great day. I'm glad you guys are here watching me live as we do our live weather discussion. Thought that I would kind of squeeze one of these in for the week. So what we're going to be talking about today will be the weather pattern that is coming up for Christmas, because a lot of people are going to be traveling through this week for this weekend in early next week leading up to Christmas Day. But the weather pattern in some sense may not cooperate depending on where you are. But also, right now, what we do have is this weather system. And then we'll be looking at that, of course. But then, of course, sorry, I'm just jumping around here. But of course, the first thing that we're really going to be talking about is what is going on in California right now. No, there's no earthquakes. No, there's no wildfires. There's something entirely different from those two. You have some Thule fog. We have some Central Valley fog that I would like to kind of discuss here. Pretty cool phenomenon on a satellite imagery. Before we get to that, though, I want to show you all the current satellite imagery. Again, make sure you guys invite your friends and your family, because I hope we can get a lot of people watching this, so that way you guys now know what a temperature inversion actually is. I'm excited to talk about this in today's live stream, and I thought today would be the perfect day to do it in a live format. So we have this weather system that is moving across the Great Lakes right now. This is bringing that snow. We talked about this yesterday, how it would be a dusting in some areas. Other areas would get with some decent accumulation like we see up here. Look at all the snow that is left behind of that Alberta Clipper. This is moving on through, and after that moves on through, there will be more storms, but no snow instead. So therefore, travel impacts won't be as significant, but the downside of it is people want the snow. People want a white Christmas. Chances of that occurring, unfortunately, pretty low. Unless you're up here in, say, northern Minnesota, the north portion there of North Dakota, maybe extreme northern Michigan, you have to come up here into, say, portions of Canada to get that white Christmas, because a lot of you all down here will not be seeing a white Christmas at all, and some of you may not be seeing a rainy Christmas either. So yeah, pretty boring, pretty benign type weather pattern for a lot of you that like the activeness, you like the cold, you like the snow, you like the rain, the wind. Gonna be a different Christmas. So that's what we have going on right now. Back here across the west, we do have a weather system approaching the Pacific Northwest that is bringing in, of course, some clouds and, of course, maybe some rainfall out of that. Actually, there is some rainfall coming out of this in Washington and Oregon, but not in California. In fact, some areas of California, let's actually zoom in, because we're going to start here first, and then we'll be looking at the rest of the United States. Don't worry, folks. This is not just for California. But there's an interesting phenomenon that I did want to kind of break down in this video. So, as you know, before we get to the fog, pretty warm today across many areas away from the Central Valley. Some areas in the South Bay, in the Bay Area, reported temperatures as warm as 64 degrees today. Pretty warm. In the North Bay, stayed under the stratus for a good part of the day. Finally kind of broke out there, but at this time, the solar radiation is decreasing as the sun is beginning to get lower in the horizon. So it only broke out into the lower 50s there. Areas in portions of the valley, like Fresno and further south, you were able to make it into the 60s after the fog finally burned off. Doesn't literally burn off, but it actually mixes out because we get that surface heating. But areas to the north really just did not warm up at all. In fact, some areas actually cooled off throughout the day instead of warming up, to put that into context. And then down here really quickly in Southern California, really, really warm today and yesterday and the day before. In fact, some areas got close to 90 degrees. Unbelievable. Unbelievable for mid-December on the shortest day, or will be the shortest day in a couple of days here. Happy solstice, or happy early solstice to those that are watching this. but very warm in Southern California. I've gotten people, I'm sure on Discord, I've not been on Discord in a while, telling me that it's been really warm down here. 70s, 80s, 90s, ridiculous. Summer type temperatures in late fall, early winter. Even in the desert Southwest here, really warm today thanks to that ridge of high pressure. Even in like along the coast here, the Salinas Valley, if you're, Santa Cruz today reached 74 degrees. 74 degrees in Santa Cruz today. You're by the water. Also, Half Moon Bay got close to 70 degrees earlier today because of that offshore flow that helped to aid in some compressional warming. So it did warm up there nicely. But I'll tell you, if you are in the valley, you're familiar with this. The Central Valley fog did not want to burn off for many locations, especially north of, say, Stanislaus County and Fresno County. Really had a hard time getting out of the overcast today. So this is what it looks like, and we will explain why this happens in just a second. But as we go through here, these are cirrus clouds for context, all right? All these are wispy cirrus clouds. You're familiar with those. They're the high clouds that are like at 20 to 30,000 feet. That's not what we're looking for here. But look what's below this. Let's actually back this out. This is stratus, and let me go to my sub-regional sector here. This is really, really remarkable. All the way up and down the Central Valley. This is really the one and only area we're really dealing with stratus today in the entire United States. And it's in the backyard. It's literally in our backyard here in the Central Valley where we have that stratus all the way from north, all the way to south. And basically, what is allowing this is a temperature inversion, and we will be talking about that. And it's been pesky, and it's going to be the thing again tonight. This fog is not going anywhere. And so as we kind of forward this through, some areas down here, like, say, Fresno, Bakersfield, got some sun finally after about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Cold, chilly, but sunny, not as warm as, say, Salinas Valley and even down here in, say, San Jose and, say, Southern California, like Los Angeles in the 80s today, under the same kind of skies, versus up here, temperatures, some areas, low to mid 40s. We're talking low to mid 40s versus the temperatures in the mid to upper 80s that have been pronounced around the LA region. So, to put that into context, that is quite the extreme in a microclimate setup. In fact, this really reminds me of the ocean. Really, in the summertime, you get the marine layer along the coast. It ushers in that onshore breeze because the Central Valley heats up to like about 100 to 110 degrees. So you get that onshore breeze. This is the opposite. It is warmer, clearly warmer all around San Francisco, all the way in Monterey Bay, Salinas Valley, San Luis Obispo, just really warm today. And that drives this offshore breeze because of the denser, colder air inland. We shouldn't be talking about that, right? And it's high pressure. And so this air is moving from northeast to southwest. And that is the cooling of the Central Valley fog that is ongoing. So that's one perspective we can see this, but there's also other cameras we can see. And one of those is our handy dandy PG&E, courtesy of PG&E, by the way. This is the UC San Diego Fire Alert Camera Network. So basically these cameras look for wildfires. If there's a wildfire, the camera alerts any firefighters or any fire personnel that, there's a big fire over here. And so they know where to go. But sometimes we can use these cameras for situations like this. Looking at this Central Valley fog, and I'll tell you, this is literally like an ocean of fog overhead. I mean, this is amazing. This is truly remarkable to not break out of the overcast. And I will show you literally a 6-hour loop that literally takes us through the last 6 hours of this fog, and it literally never burns off. Now, another future to look at here too, not just looking at the fog, is this is a very, very, very intense, strong temperature inversion. And a temperature inversion is a temperature inversion for a lot of you, but this is pretty strong. And how I know that is when we look at these strato-looking clouds here from above, they're very smooth, they're very laminar, not much convective hespatus. I call them convective hespatus with the stratus. And when you hear the hespatus, it's kind of part of the stratus, where we get convective heaps within the stratus that make things a little bit more unstable at the surface. It's more like surface instability, but in this case, this is pretty stable, and it continues to be that way as we move through the day here. This does not break up at all. In fact, it is really dense here that, it sinks on the other side. This is pretty remarkable. This really is. And this allows a lot of the infrared radiation to be reflected out into space, which also is a counterpart on why this fog is not able to mix out very well at all. So you can see here, it's like a sea, like ocean of fog. I can surf on that right now, and it'd be just exciting to be on. But then if we look at another camera, yeah, this is looking west. I believe this is looking west, right? Yeah, it is. This is looking west. By the way, Weather on the Go, thank you for the chat here. The first chat. People, come on. Share this with their family and friends. Come on. I'm going to give you guys a little weather lesson here. Yeah, I'll talk about the weather across the entire United States after we get done with this, because this is kind of part of that stream that I wanted to plan for here. But yeah, this is looking west. This is fog. The camera is shrouded in fog. And if we go back here, it's been that way for the last 12 hours. There has not been any visibility on this at all, which tells us this camera is at around 1,700 feet. And it's foggy, so that means the fog deck expands all the way to almost 2,000 feet. This is pretty deep. This is not very shallow at all. And this goes all the way down to about 800 feet is our ceilings right now, and I'll give you some observations. So this is inside this stratus deck, very thick, and then here's a look at it below. This is at the Thunder Valley Casino resort, I believe. This is in Rancho Cordova. This is northeast of Sacramento. And this is low. This is below the stratus. It's what we're looking at here. This is from a satellite perspective, from a camera perspective, and this is underneath all of that overcast. So this is a stratus, not a fog. Well, it's a type of fog, but it is not on the ground here. It's a very thick haze, which means the air is very saturated here, almost enough to actually allow fog formation. And this is going to probably come down tonight because we did have that surface heating, which allowed the fog deck to lift to around, say, 600 or 700 feet. Now that the sun is beginning to set and get closer to the horizon, we're going to start seeing this stratus resettle down into the valley floor, actually probably get down to the surface, depending on how everything goes. Last night we did have some wind at the surface that came up the valley, which did not allow the deck to settle down to the surface. We had some mechanical surface-based mixing, which prevented that. But you can see here what this looks like underneath the overcast. Pretty cool, huh? From above to below it. All right. And another way we can see this too is by looking at observations. So if we look at here, this is in Sacramento as a 405, 600 feet ceilings. That's pretty low. All right. So basically with these automated weather observation systems, they use visibility sensors and they use cloud-based sensors, which tell us how high these clouds are. Are they 15,000 feet or are they 5,000 feet? Or are they, in this case, 600 feet? And we are seeing that here in the International Airport of Sacramento. So this is a very low overcast up here locally in the Sacramento region. Sacramento County getting some low overcast. Also out of Marysville, Yuba City Regional Airport, seeing ceilings down to 800 feet. And then the Beale Air Force Base also reporting very low ceilings as well, 700 feet. And let's go up a little north, Chico also reporting 500-foot ceilings. So this is very low overcast. This is not very high. So if you're an aviation pilot, just be aware that you will need an IFR-based airplane. Most airplanes these days, modern aircraft, do have IFR systems. So make sure if you are planning to fly, maybe to a friend's house for the weekend, maybe tomorrow. Keep that in mind. We may have one of these foggy days again where the stratus does not lift very high off the ground and it stays pretty low. Reading as well, 300 feet, so that's pretty low, and we are getting reduced visibility here, 4 miles because of that. So a thick haze, kind of a mist kind of in the air as well. Just keep that in mind. Reduced visibility even beneath the overcast a little bit. Travis also reporting low overcast here at 700 feet. And let's see, in Stockton here, the overcast is a little higher at 1,400 feet. So yeah, the stratus here further south has been able to mix a little bit better. So that's why it has lifted a little higher. And then in Modesto, there's no fog at all. It's reporting clear. So yeah, if you're flying to Modesto, say maybe from Turlock to maybe a short flight to Modesto, you should be fine in the aviation world there. And there's no fog reporting. Actually, there's some fog at 1,000 feet. And it is windy, actually, in Livermore, that easterly wind. And take note of that. This flow offshore, that's a dense cold air that's kind of a reversed sister of the onshore breeze that we get in the summertime. So this is offshore. This is blowing in cooler air from the Central Valley into the Bay Area. So now, what is the culprit behind this? Well, I said it already. Simply a temperature inversion. So as we take a look at our temperatures here, so we're going to forward this, and we're going to go to about 23Z. Actually, no, wait. 0Z is 4 o'clock, by the way, because we fell back an hour back in early November. So this is pretty much current. And ignore the 50 degrees because it's 47 right now as of the 4:15 hour. So it is cooler than what the models initially thought. And that's part of forecasting fog. Sometimes it's colder and sometimes it's denser than what models say. So if we click on a sounding right here, let's do Sacramento, right? 48 degrees right now. This is really, really cool to see. And so this is loading. Give it some time. This is kind of in the Sacramento area, and what you're about to see here is a pretty notable temperature inversion. This is incredible. This, again, is 0Z today. And what we're looking at here is simply, and I do use this for severe weather. If you guys follow me during severe weather season, you know what I'm talking about here. Let me see if I can get it. There we go, full screen. That is more helpful. Let me get my picture a little smaller so you can see more of the information of the sounding. So the red line here is your virtual temperature line. So this is what the temperature is doing throughout the atmosphere. So of course, this is not to be confused by the skew T-plot. So temperatures do naturally cool off with height, all right? And so this red line here is your temperature lapse rate in the red. And then the green here is your temperature dew point lapse rate. So in other words, the further away these lines are right here, the drier the air is. So the air is really dry at 700 millibars or 10,000 feet, 3 kilometers above the surface, versus down here near the surface, the air is very saturated. Our dew point is 45 degrees, and it gets down here to about 40 degrees where the crest of the inversion is. Now, and when I mean crest, that's kind of the top of the cold air boundary layer. And then look what happens here. Temperatures go up, and I mean, this is notable here. This is upper 60s, low 70 degree temperatures. This is incredibly warm for lower elevation. So yes, if you're in Placerville, Pollock Pines, Twain Harte, if you're in, say, Auburn, if you're in Colfax, Blue Canyon, above the canyon, you're definitely feeling the difference in the air. Definitely warmer and definitely drier. And that's because of that inversion that we are seeing. And sometimes when the sun is really low, usually really low, not sometimes, typically, every year the sun is about 27.9 degrees above the horizon during solar noon, so the sun angle is much more shallower, it's not steep, and what ends up happening is this inversion is not able to mix out and dissipate. So instead, what we end up having is this stratus deck, this fog that you see here does not mix out entirely. It just kind of stays and stays, and there have been times, and I'll tell you a little story for 20 of you that are watching this live stream. There have been times where this inversion can persist for 3+ weeks, sometimes almost a month, without blue skies at times. We haven't had any of that in a long time. I don't think I remember seeing it this overcast for that long, but sometimes in rare circumstances that can happen. And other times it persists maybe for a week on end, and then it finally breaks up with the help of a weather system that we will eventually be getting by the weekend. And so this is what it looks like now for this afternoon. Let's actually go down here and look at, let's go for the next 24, let's do 30 hours. So let's do 30 hours, generate new sounding, and what you'll end up seeing is by tomorrow afternoon too, hold on, it's loading. So what you'll end up seeing too, pretty much the same thing, but this time it might be a little bit shallower. And what that means is we're probably going to be able to mix the fog out a little more effectively tomorrow. It's hard to say exactly if that will happen. Predicting fog like this in the valley is very tricky. It's all about the inversion height. Today's inversion is really deep, a little shallower than yesterday. Yesterday it was like 3,000 feet. Today it's more like 2,100 feet, maybe 2,000 feet. So it's a little shallower today, but still deep enough to not allow any mixing of that fog deck. It's just still cloudy, and it's going to remain that way. But what ends up happening eventually is by the end of this forecast, let's go to 40, let's go actually to 60 hours. So this will take us into Saturday afternoon. And what you'll end up seeing here is that the inversion is going to be a lot more distorted. It's not going to be much of an inversion at all, perhaps. Maybe some areas, like further south, the inversion might persist a little bit more, but you'll see this. Watch this. See? So there's not much of an inversion here, but instead, you might have some rain and some gusty winds to stir that all out. So inversion, the next day or so, this mixes out a little bit more effectively. We do have a little bit of inversion, more shallower and not as steep. And so if we get any fog, it'll probably be distorted much easier, and it'll just mix out without a hassle. And that's because, again, of what our temperature profile is looking like. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to come by with some sunshine if you're in the valley. But if you're above the fog line, yeah, you're going to like tomorrow's weather. It's going to be nice and sunny, although a little bit on the warm side. So let's take a look now at the fog, because a lot of you are wondering that, is the fog going to return tonight? Is it really going to settle back down to the surface? The answer to that is yes, it is going to settle back to the surface again. And you can see that here by 9 p.m., reduced visibilities already. And then look at this. This is just incredible. All the way up and down the valley, we have some very thick fog. So I would not be surprised if the National Weather Service does issue dense fog advisories again tonight because of reduced visibilities here down to about a quarter of a mile or less. And there may be instances where visibilities could get as low as 50 feet. Doesn't surprise me. So really watch the speeds. Make sure your high beams are turned and off and you use your fog lights or your regular headlights for your car, because fog is going to be a problem tonight, and that means temperatures are also going to be on the chilly side, of course. Temperatures maintaining into the low to mid 40s overnight. But yeah, these foothill locations above the fog deck, temperatures will probably stay in the low to mid, perhaps even upper 50s overnight tonight. Pretty incredible to actually see that. Really incredible. So keep that in mind if you're doing anything tonight or waking up early in the morning, going commuting. Going to be a little bit on the mild side if you're above the fog line, but don't think that there's no fog in the valley because you see clear skies. It's that type of thing. Actually, there will be cirrus clouds moving overhead tonight. That might make the sky cloudy anyway without the fog, but nothing like the Central Valley fog at all. So now that we talked about that, about if the fog clears tomorrow, in this case, let's actually go to 18Z again. It does mix out in the afternoon, but that's always tricky. It's actually, wow, this whole time I did not have it zoomed in. I hope you were able to all see that. So the fog does have a hard time burning off tomorrow, and then it might redevelop tomorrow night, but a little more questionable about it reforming tomorrow night, however. All right, so let's take a look here. This is, by the way, my current weather station observations right now. It's 47.5 degrees right now, and a north wind at 2 miles an hour, so definitely on the cooler side. And yeah, look at this. Stayed in the 40s all day today. Incredible. Whereas, well, if we look at our weather observations, you'll like seeing this really quickly. I wanted to show you all this. 67 degrees in Fiddletown, above the temperature inversion. Look at this. Really warm above that fog deck versus down here in the valley. It is cold. And there are some instances, actually, where it's even colder. How about this? 38 degrees in McCollum Hill right now. 38 degrees. 38 degrees. And then right above the fog deck, it's in the 60s. It's in the 60s. Huge, huge, sharp temperature contrast. And then it continues all the way down to the south. But of course, look at Southern California. Southern California cooking at 81 degrees. Some areas here even as warm as 87 degrees in Burbank right now. 87 degrees. That must be miserable. That must be unpleasant. And I don't see any areas where it reached 90. It probably did that a little while ago, but yeah, still really warm down there nevertheless. Of course, if this can load. Yeah, see, Salinas here, 80 degrees. Greenfield, 73. Really warm in these areas today. Santa Cruz a little cooler now, maybe due to some marine air influences. I'll tell you here, 65 degrees, really mild. And then look at here in Half Moon Bay, where it's cooling off pretty quickly because of that easterly flow. Looks like the wind had tapered off and it's more onshore, so that's probably why it's a little cooler. But it did reach the low to mid 70s today in Half Moon Bay. So huge temperature contrast between the coast and right here in the valley, where it's, I mean, it's just phenomenal. It really is to see the sea of fog. Wow, creepy, isn't it? Creepy, creepy, creepy. And here's another movie showing you all it. You can just see it moving. Rippling, rippling, rappling. Hey, Owens River House, how are you doing? So yeah, some pretty thick fog. Let me see if I can find another location. Oh yeah, the Sutter Buttes. Look at this. I know this camera's dirty, but it does a pretty good job. You can see the fog here moving around. What's up, Jordan Rodriguez? How are you doing, buddy? Well, yeah, this is the fog from the Sutter Buttes, which is at about 2,000 feet. And there you go. It's coming back up now. Fog is lifting up a little bit more. Yeah, the sea of fog has not cleared. Not cleared at all. See if we can find another one here. And this is where it cleared out a little bit for a bit. See if we can find one more and then we'll move on. I don't think we have any more. Oh yeah, here's one right here. Oh, where did it go? Where did it go? Right here. Here's another one showing you all the fog. Kind of see it right there. And you can see the inversion, that haze just above the fog deck. And then it drops down. It drops. And now it looks like it's moving back in again. Recently, last 5 minutes, you can see what it's doing. Pretty stinking cool. Pretty cool. I gotta say. Oh, that's a nice one. Look at this one. Oh, where did it go? Where did it go? One with a nice sunset. Yeah, here it is. That's not the ocean. That is stratus. That is fog. Man, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? You could actually see it here. Wow, you know what, you guys? Look at this. You could see waves of the fog moving through. It's like waves. You can see waves rippling through the fog. That is actually really cool. I have not seen that before on a camera until now. Wow, that is neat to see. Very smooth. Wow, very smooth. That's not the ocean, that's fog. That is fog. So any questions, anybody? Any questions at all about this? But yeah, that's what it looks like from a camera perspective. And here's another one, another view of it. Yeah, here it hasn't burned off at all. That's like right here. So still dense. What's up, John and Raven? Jordan, will we get more tornadoes in 2025? That seems more likely that we'll probably see as many tornadoes as we did in 2024, maybe a little lesser. But yeah, here's another view of the fog. Wow, it never burned off here at all. Man, even in the East Bay valleys, never cleared out. So that is showing you that is substantial. Man, that is crazy to see that. Yeah, it's going to be foggy tonight, looks like, in my area, in my neck of the woods. Doing good, John. Thank you for asking. So now that we talked about that, let's talk about the upcoming weather pattern, because that's probably why a lot of you wanted to tune in just to see the upcoming weather pattern, but I felt like I had to share with you all that Central Valley fog. So, of course, this Alberta Clipper is moving through the northern tier of the United States into the Great Lakes region, and that's bringing in that snow right now. That's what we're seeing. So we're going to use the 12Z European model because that goes out a lot further. And then that moves out and then kind of breaks away. Maybe some leftover lake effect snow through Saturday. And then really, it's going to be more about what goes on across the west. Right now, it looks like Saturday doesn't seem very impactful as far as rainfall amounts go. and even into Sunday and Monday for the West. But for the Pacific Northwest, definitely more impactful as far as rainfall goes up in here. So like say north of Sacramento, like kind of up in here is where we're going to see the biggest amount of rainfall totals most likely. While much of the nation here is looking pretty quiet thanks to this zonal weather pattern. Other than maybe another little storm system that clips your area in the Great Lakes region on Monday and Tuesday, but like anything, not going to be very significant at all, okay? That moves through, but really, again, California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana will be the areas to really watch through Christmas for active weather, okay? And then for the Midwest, that may transpire into maybe a surgence of more moisture, but really nothing too organized or dynamic. Really not much, just rain. And so traveling looks pretty good. For Christmas Eve, not a big problem, and then Christmas Day, not a big problem either, which is the news that everyone likes to hear, other than maybe some areas of heavier or light to moderate rainfall that may slow down flights a little bit. But then, of course, if you're flying to Seattle or Portland, that's going to be a different story with that storm. And then comes, actually, that's the big one, right? That's going to be the atmospheric river. Yeah, so Thursday is going to be the day to really watch for any significant rainfall. And then maybe more into the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. But yeah, I don't see anything really significant at all for the Midwest, at least for the next 10 days. But beyond that, we'll see. We will just have to wait and see that maybe the pattern changes and maybe more colder weather does arrive. And that's what it looks like, but that's only one model run. I'm not too worried about one model run. One model run's not going to change my decision of the pattern change. Some of you have been saying the pattern could change in January. There's been some talk about that, and somehow rather, the pattern will have to change, the weather pattern. It's not going to stick the way it is, and that's just the nature of it, these weather systems. But yeah, the GFS model has a more robust snowstorm in Michigan and also in northern Wisconsin around Monday, so there will be some snow on the ground with that, but it will probably be eroded by rainfall in time for maybe Christmas Day. Oh yeah, well, Christmas Day could be wet. Either rain, snow, or some ice. And then GFS going a little aggressive with our storm. We got to look at that actually really quickly. For the first time, I need to see this. Yeah, that's very aggressive on the GFS model. That's a big system on Thursday next week. Wow, that is a big system. So, yeah, there is some discrepancies amongst the models on how they handle that system on Thursday, but could be a big one. It looks like the GFS has been trending stronger with that. We'll see if the European model kind of leans in that general direction. Let's see what the Canadian is showing. Yeah, see, Canadian's pretty similar, but the Euro's a lot weaker. But either way you put it, there's big storm for California for Christmas and the day after Christmas, and then more rain maybe after that. We'll see. Let's see for the Midwest, though. Yeah, not much except for heavy rainfall is all you're going to get. And maybe some snow. Well, if that even happens. That's the first day of January that you might get some rainfall. And then, let's see what happens. Then that moves through. Yeah, man, a big Arctic air mass? What in the name of Frank is the GFS looking at? Oh my gosh, GFS, you're crazy. You're crazy. But it is also noting that pattern change. Man, really cold for my area. Really cold for my area. Hey, it's a Montana Arctic outbreak again, it looks like. Really cold up there. Man, if that verifies, it would be in the 20s in my area at night. Whew, that's cold. That is cold. What's up, Sally? How are you doing? Man, not a good stream turnout today. But of course, there's not a whole lot going on in the weather department, so that's to be expected. Yeah, it is to be expected. So, yeah, let's see snowfall totals. Yeah, so literally through Christmas Day, the only snow you're going to get is up here. Well, there's not going to be much in the way of snow. If you get a little white Christmas, I mean, it's going to be really brief here. But hey, I'll tell you, someone's going to get a white Christmas, and that will be in the Intermountain West. That's who's going to get a white Christmas. How are we looking in South Carolina? Rain, rain, rain. Say it with me. Say it with me, Jacob. That's all you're going to get. That's all you're going to get, my guy. You're not looking at a really cold pattern at all. In fact, probably near record high temperatures for a while. Other than this cold spurt of air that comes through, yeah, that's well said this weekend. It's going to be cold there, and then the light switch flips, and then say hello to the above average temperatures. Look at this. I mean, this is pretty concerning in the Midwest. Really, really, really warm. I mean, unbearable. Well, not really unbearable because it's not like 90 or 100, but still. Temperatures are almost 30 degrees above average. What's up, Dominique? How are you doing? So yeah, really, really warm in the Midwest. Man, it is going to be terrible for your Christmas. I'm telling you, a warm Inferno Christmas. And this is not normal. That's what the thumbnail says, right? Not normal. Not a normal weather pattern at all. Euro ensemble's not as aggressive as the GEFS ensemble. Really aggressive on that one. At showing really warm temperatures. If we actually go to the air temperature forecast on the ensemble, yeah, there could be some mid-50s, mid to upper 50s up here in Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Missouri. Man, that is warm. That is really warm. Jordan, yeah, I've not had time to maintain that at all. But yes, Jordan, I am on Facebook. I try to be on there a little bit more often, but I just haven't had the time. But yeah, really warm weather coming up after this big cool down. So again, don't think that, oh, it's nice and cold, we're gonna love this, oh my, I'm excited. Don't get excited, please don't, because you're just gonna ask for the cold to move away even faster, right? So it'll be cold. It is definitely in the Northeast, single digits and negative temperatures for Sunday morning. That's cold. But it doesn't look to get as cold as what we thought a couple of days ago. But Still on the chillier side. Man, look at this, especially in Minnesota. Whew! Gonna be nippy, nappy, nappy. And then look at this. Pattern changes and whoopity-doo. It warms up there. It warms up in Hudson Bay. In fact, temperatures during the day could get into the 40s up there. And that's when you have some really high temperature records. I mean, especially this right here. This is absurd. This is absurd. But yeah, this is only one model. So this shows this. This shows that. Man, that is a very cold air mass over the west, though. That is pretty substantial. Especially this storm that's going to hit us. Boy, if this hits us right, I'll be excited. I will be excited. Yeah, look at that pattern. Oh my gosh, that's a big system. That is a big monster right there. Whew. Spicy, spicy. And that is a 960, that's a 965 millibar system right off the Oregon coast. Wow, that's going to do a little bit of hammering. Boy, I've ate so much today. I'm still full. And I have a party to go to tonight. So any questions? Jordan, I talk to him quite often, yes. He's doing pretty good. He's doing really good, actually. How's the weather doing? How's the weather in Jamaica, I believe, right? That's where you live, right, Jordan? How's the weather in Jamaica? Probably really hot and humid, huh? Probably not much of a change down there because you're pretty much around the equator. You're in Puerto Rico. I always think Jamaica. Why do I always think that? So you're in Puerto Rico. Yeah, how's the weather over there, by the way? The weather's chilly right now. Oh, really? See if you get that. Nope, you're not going to get that Arctic blast at all. Oh, maybe, yeah. You're going to get some cooler air rolling on down. That'll be nice. You'll get a little bit of a cool down. All right, so I don't think there's really not much to talk about other than to go live. And that's perfectly fine. I'm fine with that. I can use a day off. I'll probably take a day off tomorrow until something really big happens. Actually, I'll probably focus more on the West. Actually, yeah, I'll probably focus on the West tomorrow. If I have time to yeah, actually tomorrow I'll have a day off. Then Saturday we'll focus more on that. Will it rain for your area? Oh yeah, you're gonna have more rain, Jordan. Just some daytime kind of convective-y, kind of like showers. Pretty much. Let's actually go over to Puerto Rico. Let's see what we actually have there. Yeah, kind of like this. Each day you kind of get these sporadic storms that pop up. But nice, good trade winds coming through your area, though. But for my area, it's fog. It's all this fog that's coming in. And it's expanding already. It's expanding. Man, I'm really curious if our visibility, if the fog will settle tonight. I'm hoping it does. I want to get some fog. I want to drive through some fog. All right. Well, anyways, thank you all for tuning in to this live stream. It was nice talking to you guys, hanging out. But yeah, I don't think there's really not much to talk about, really. The weather pattern is pretty much settled. We talked about it the last couple of days, so everyone's pretty much aware of what's coming in. Warm, warm weather. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your Thursday. As always, I'll be back with you maybe tomorrow with more weather content. If not, for sure on Saturday. Saturday. I'll more than likely have something out. Just depending on the situation of what's going on. All right. But thank you all guys for watching. I'll be back with you more soon.